What is up, Cowboys Nation? Your boy Mike Tag here. Appreciate you checking out the video. If you hadn't subscribed already, man, make sure you hit that subscribe. Make sure you hit that thumbs up like. Make sure you hit that alert because you never know when I'm dropping a video. And, the Cowboys been constantly making headlines for maybe all the wrong reasons, maybe not the right reasons that we want right now. But a lot of us kind of knew this was coming. It was a matter of time. And late Friday night, while your boy's just relaxing, getting ready to go to bed, make a nice early evening so I can wake up refreshed and invigorated for the Saturday morning. And you get news that Brian Schottenheimer is officially, I believe, our 10th head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And it's crazy that we had a coach for 29 years, and then we've had nine since then, since Jerry Jones has bought this team. But I said I'm going to let it marinate. I'm not going to overreact. I'm not going to, send the pitchforks over to AT&T yet. But this is just my thoughts on the hire. I mean, Jerry was going to go with the safe pick. I think we, if you listen to me long enough, I was pro Mike McCarthy staying. I thought the continuity that he had, I thought the players played for him. I thought he was given a bad hand in 2024 with the roster and the lack of moves Jerry made, in addition to all the injuries that they had to overcome. For them to win 7 games was kind of a shock to me. He won three seasons in a row with 12 wins. Not easy to do. And I just think Jerry, with the 1 year left on the contract, had all the coaches on a 1 year. The season was just set up for failure from the start, and it's unfortunate. I think it could have been handled a lot better. I think they kind of backed McCarthy in the corner in the offseason. You saw they didn't allow him to reach out to Chicago for an interview at their request, and I think they kind of were thinking they were going to be able to get him on a deal, gave him some options, some thoughts, shorter contract, Jason Witten coming on the staff to be kind of the heir apparent. And I just think McCarthy said, I'll bounce. And I mean, he left without even having another job. So that kind of tells you that situation. So the Cowboys were left in left holding the bag. And what do you do? Now, at that point, if you watch the show, I was a fan of, we need big change. Just blow it up. Just blow it up. Get a coach outside the box, outside the norm, and let's just see what happens. But that's not Jerry. That's not Steven. That's not what they do. If you look at the coaching hires they had, I mean, really, outside maybe Gailey, Bill Parcells, he knew through the league, so I don't know if I really want to put him in there. They never really went outside their comfort zone. They stayed within themselves. They stayed with the familiarity that they had. And again, outside of Parcells and Jimmy Johnson, they stayed with who they can, I don't want to say control, but who they can control. I don't have another word for it. And, so it's disheartening, I think, as a fan to see that, because you look at this team and the roster that they have, the chance that they have to, to compete, to be an elite franchise, and you would think they'd go bigger. You'd think you've got an endless war chest of cash that you can throw at a coach, that you would just get the number one guy available. Now, there's no guarantee the number one guy is going to work. I mean, Ben Johnson was the name everywhere. Let's see how it works in Chicago. There's no guarantee. Now, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. We've seen so many of these assistant coaches turn out to be better assistant coaches than head coaches. So there's no guarantee that would work. But I think they went with a comfortable hire. And I've kind of, talked to some people and let them know, is if you're a fan of Dak Prescott and you want him to be in the best position for success, then you're good with the hire. You're good with the hire because he's going to bring the continuity. He's going to bring the consistency and familiarity for this offense. So what you've seen from this offense over the last, couple years with him on the staff, that's probably what you're going to continue to see. I think you'll see some tweaks here and there. There's probably some things he wanted to maybe do that McCarthy wasn't willing to do. So maybe you see a little bit different. It could be better, could be worse, but I think all of us are kind of at a loss. I know some are very angry. Some have turned in their fan card. Like I said in one video, I mean, I've been through this long enough. I've been a Cowboys fan my whole life, so I'm kind of stuck with it. So I'm going to give him a chance. Now, that doesn't mean I like Jerry. Doesn't mean I'm not happy that I'm happy with what Jerry's been doing with this franchise. But at the end of the day, if Schottenheimer's leading this team, I'm going to give him the support, and I'm going to give him his fair shot. He's going to get his opportunity, and we'll see what happens. I mean, he's been a coordinator for a long time. He's worked under some Hall of Fame coaches, some Super Bowl champion coaches, and coaches had been to the Super Bowl. So I mean, he's worked under some good coaches, and his father was, one of the best coaches of his era. I mean, I think he coached for like 21 years, and he went to the playoffs 18 of the 21, which is, I mean, any of us would take that all day long. And some will come back and say, well, you didn't win a Super Bowl. And I think the Super Bowl part with these coaches, it's a little overrated. I've played sports, and I think a lot of you guys played sports, and I don't know if it's a generational thing, but I'm trying to recall any time I blame my coach for not winning or blame my coach for not coming through in the clutch. And, a coach's job is to lead his team and to get you in the position where you can be successful and win. And I look at it with McCarthy, 12 wins, 2 division titles, playoffs 3 years in a row. He did what he needed to do to put the players in position. Now it's up to the players to take that step, to take that next step and capitalize on the opportunities that are given to them. McCarthy's not throwing interceptions. McCarthy's not giving up big pass plays for touchdowns. That's on the players. So, I think it's overrated, the coach that didn't win the Super Bowl. So anyway, we'll see what happens with Schottenheimer. Obviously, Eberflus is the name at defensive coordinator. That looks like that's going to be the move. I'm not sure if it's official yet. Maybe it's not going to be till Monday, but that's the buzz. So where there's smoke, there's fire, just like you saw with the Schottenheimer. And I think that's a good hire for the defense. They weren't going to, Zimmer wasn't coming back. This is going to be the 3rd defensive coordinator in 3 years. So you look at, Parsons is going to be going through another defensive coordinator, but Eberflus, he was a good defensive coordinator. And in his stops, I believe Khalil Mack was played under him. Great pass rusher. So I think he's good run defense. I think he's gonna help this defense, right? But again, none of this matters if Jerry doesn't spend the money in free agency, if they don't draft well, if they don't retain the players. And they've got a lot of free agents up. I mean, you're gonna keep some and you're gonna lose some. That's just the nature of the business. So we got to see what this roster looks like. But the core of this roster is still very good. The core of this roster is still playoff, caliber. Now, Super Bowl caliber, I'm not too sure. I think they need to add some pieces to the puzzle, and that's gonna be, that's what's going to wait to see what happens. So, as me for a fan, I'm kind of, maybe I'm gotten numb to the Jerry thing, but I'm going to give Schottenheimer his shot. I want to see the staff that they get. I know people are upset with Al Harris moving on. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to bring in, I want the coordinators to be able to bring in who they need and who they want. I'm not a fan of the owners, and Jerry does this, dictating who your coordinators are. So I'm curious to see how this staff is built. I'm curious to see how much influence Schottenheimer will have in the staff. But you're hearing some former Cowboy names, Deshard Choice, DeMarco Murray. They're all coaching in college. Maybe get some former players in here. Al Harris was a former player, and obviously he related to a lot of these guys, and he did a good job, man, while he was here. And you wish him the best, but at the end of the day, same I'd say with the players. I mean, we're not, it's not like we've been hoisting up Lombardi. So like I said, I was a fan for blowing this whole damn thing up and just starting fresh. But you're going to keep the familiarity with Schottenheimer on the offense, see what Eberflus can bring to the defense. I think this defense started to get better with Zimmer. So it's kind of disappointing that you started to find your stride with Zimmer. With all the injuries, they started to get their rhythm going and play a lot better than earlier in the season. So you're going to kind of have to start over with there. So, will we see in 2025 a familiar sight of where this defense kind of, it took a little while to get them going. You look at their schedule in 2025, I don't think they're going to have the luxury of starting slow. I think they're going to have to get things going, but I mean, we'll see. I mean, let's see what happens. But I know there's a lot of angry Cowboy fans, and I'm not trying to make you feel better. I'm not trying to make you feel worse. I'm just, I think I empathize. But at the end of the day, I think if you've been a Cowboy fan long enough, this wasn't a big surprise move for you. And I've said it for years. The Cowboys, these players and these coaches, they got to find a way to win in spite of the ownership. And when I say ownership, I'm talking about all the Joneses, because I think Stephen Jones is probably more guilty than Jerry is with a lot of this stuff. They continue to make excuses with the cap. They can continue to make excuses of why they don't re-sign, some of their players or free agents. And you see these other teams making moves, and you got to make moves to improve your roster if you want to get to the Super Bowl. I mean, you can't do it with just homegrown talent all the time. That just doesn't get it done. You've got to be able to fill out your roster, like my man Eugene said, who was on the show this week sharing his thoughts, with some hungry players. Man, we need some hungry players. And I think the culture of this team is that's always been their Achilles heel for a number of years. And we had Terrence Parsons on, and we talked about the leadership of that Micah has. I think he's kind of really taken the reins of it, taking that ownership of it. I wish Dak would be more of a leader, more of a vocal leader, but maybe, that's just not in him. Maybe he is between the lines, but you'd like to see him be less CEO with his press conferences. You like to see the real Dak come out, because I think on the field, I think when you see mic'd up and you see some of that stuff, I think you see the leadership that Dak Prescott has. I just wish he would be more in the media as well, because I think the fans feed off that. I think the ownership feeds off that. And, if the quarterback's saying all the right things, then maybe the ownership thinks everything's fine. I mean, that was, one of the things you saw with Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman was never shy to speak his mind. And especially later on in his career, the frustration that he had, as fans, we empathized with it, and we shared in that frustration. So it's going to be an interesting offseason. It's going to be interesting to see what this organization does, because I think they've put themselves in a corner, obviously, with everything that happened, the way the whole McCarthy thing went down, because they could have done that the right way, and I think you would have had a good percentage of the fans that said, hey, we need to run it back, we need to keep things the same, make some tweaks, but it's still going to be on the general manager and owner to make the right moves. They're drafting 12. We're going to get into some draft stuff on the show and get more into that, but they've got an opportunity. This isn't a mass rebuild where the old days of, it's going to take 5 years and you got to do this. This team, the core of the talent's there. They maneuver some contracts if they really want to get aggressive, and they can go a legit all in and get some free agents and get their guys and really make a move. Jerry, if you're listening to me, which I think you listen to the Cave, because you say some things sometimes I make you think it makes me think you're listening to Mike Tag. You ain't getting no younger. I sure the hell ain't getting no younger. I mean, let's stop the bullshit and let's get this thing going. It's kind of, This weekend we're going to watch Philly and we're going to watch Washington in an NFC Championship game. Someone from the NFC East is going to the Super Bowl, and it sure the hell ain't Dallas Cowboys. And enough's enough. Enough's enough. And it's time to make some real changes in the philosophy of what they're doing. And I don't know if they're going to do it. As a fan, there's a lot of disheartening people. I'm curious to see how training camp is going to look with the fan base. You saw it kind of scale back this last year. I think you might see it worse this year. What are the fans doing with season tickets? I'm a season ticket holder, and I'm going to be honest with you, man. I'm thinking long and hard, and I'm like, man, I spend premium dollars expecting a premium product and a premium experience. Am I better off just going to the games like I used to do? I just go, I'd go to the games that I wanted to, and that was it. But got to a point where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to want to go to more games, and I want to know where I'm sitting. I don't want to pay X amount of overpriced dollars on StubHub for tickets that ends up equating for the same amount I'm spending on my season tickets. But I got to think long and hard. Is my entertainment budget, do the Cowboys fit in that at the dollar that it cost? And I mean, that is what Jerry and Steven are going to have to address, because you got a lot of pissed off fans. And I know that going to the game or not going to the game doesn't impact their wallet so much, because the TV revenue and all of that is really where their big money is with the NFL. But you can't tell me it wasn't embarrassing the last half of the year when you see empty seats. And, as a season ticket holder, obviously I can't get to every game, and I'm trying to, sell my tickets to recoup a little bit of money. And I'm taking a 50% hit. And in one game, I couldn't even give them away. And you're talking about, man, club seats, man, good seats. And I think that is, the Cowboys, this ownership better watch out. They could be they could be setting themselves up for some rough times. You got a generation of fans, like my son's age. They don't have the patience. They're not all in. They hadn't seen the Super Bowls that kind of tied us and entrenched us into this franchise. They didn't come from the Tom Landry to the Jimmy Johnson era. They're post Jimmy Johnson. They're, way that 2000s team, the 5-11s and the missing of the lack of playoff success, and not getting to a Super Bowl and not even getting to a championship game. That's what that generation is. And they may be the first ones to kind of bail out. I mean, I'm too, guys like me, man, we're too deep, man. We're stuck with it. We're stuck with this shit. But the younger fans, they can move on. They can move on. They're young enough and find a new team to root for. So Jerry better watch it because it's not this generation, but that next generation of fans are going to be, my age and up, in the next few years that are the ones buying the tickets and the ones that have the money to buy the ticket. They might not be buying no tickets. They might not be going to watching the Cowboys and buying the merch and all that. So that's the ones they better be careful of. So we're going to see what happens, but just want to drop a quick video. Probably going to go live. I'm home. My wife's in Vegas, so I'm just chilling in the cave. So may go live tonight just to kind of talk to you guys, or more than likely maybe go live tomorrow before the big games. But we'll check it. Make sure you check it out. Hit that subscribe, hit the like, and definitely, share with all of Cowboys Nation, because this is going to be a therapy session. I have a feeling this off season is going to be a lot of therapy, and we're going to get through this thing together. And I'm a positive person, and I gotta just at least stay a little bit positive, because I just don't like to live in the world of negativity. But definitely not. I'm not busting through that door doing a hype video for this hire. That's for damn sure. But I'm gonna give Schottenheimer. I'm gonna give him his chance. I'm gonna give him his shot, and see what happens. So again, the anger should be pointed to Jerry. You guys, not at Schottenheimer. We need to support that coach and support the players and do what you got to do with ownership. So until then, I will see you guys on the next live show or the next recorded show. And you guys take care, man. Have a great weekend. Start to the weekend. Hopefully it starts well, finishes well, and we'll see you. Take care. See you.
Give me somebody that's hungry. Give me somebody that's hungry. I need somebody.